fuck the gym. So before I start, I just want to apologize if you hear any gunshots. My neighbors are out shooting. But anyway, I'm working around the property, and as I always do, I try to listen to a podcast or an audiobook. And the audiobook I'm listening to today is called The Power of Habits. And what it does, it takes a deep scientific neurology deep dive into why we form habits or how we form habits. And one of the things this guy is saying, I think as we all kind of know, is that when you do something for the first time, it requires a lot of thinking. It actually highlights the portions of the brain required for deep thinking. As we continue to do that process over and over and over again, the portions of the brain that are responsible for thinking actually go away, and it becomes habit, like breathing and walking. It's just something we do. We just go through the process. Well, the example this guy gave was going to work in the morning. You grab your keys, you get into the car, you drive, pull out of the driveway, and off to work you go. It doesn't require any thinking. And this brought up a very traumatizing experience in my childhood, or I should say my teens. You know, I was 17 years old, I was first driving and so forth, and the way my house was situated, my driveway was situated, is we could fit two cars next to each other, side by side, parallel to each other. Now my parents would park on one side of the driveway, and I'd park on the other. The reason being is they left 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, so they would pull out, and then so I didn't block them, would park on the other side, and I'd pull out. And I would jump into my car, and I would move the car so it centered with the driveway, and boom, away I go. One morning, I go ahead and I jump into the car, and I start turning it towards the center of the driveway. I start backing out, and I hear, BAM! I'm like, what just happened? And I look behind me, and there is my mom's brand new Celica that I just crashed with my station wagon. I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I run in and I was like, my mom had off today. And she's sleeping, she's, just getting her day off sleep. And I'm like, Mom. And she's like, what? I hit your car. She's like, you hit my car? How did you hit my car? I'm like, I don't know how this all happened. And she could see me just flustered, just beating myself up. And the mother and her took over, and the idea of the physical car was no longer a concern. The concern was her son was just freaked out, and she calmed down, doing the motherly thing. She's like, hey, we got insurance, we'll take care of this. Everything's gonna be all fine. I'm gonna call your dad, we'll get the insurance. Don't worry about it. You go to school and you relax and you take care of what you need to take care of. A real mother, she was great. So that was 7 a.m. She probably told my dad probably about 8 a.m. He's at work and stuff. And he'd get home around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and so forth. And when you've got 10, 11 hours to think about something, one of two things is going to happen. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to kind of figure out the situation, take care of the problem, rationalize it, figure out the best way that we can resolve this and so forth. You calm down. Your initial reaction, like my mom's, is muted. Now the second way you can react to this, excuse me if I get out of frame here, is if you've been stewing on it all day. Where you just get pissed off and it's just building up and building up and building up until the confrontation happens and you blow up. My dad took option number 2, curtain number 2. He comes home. Now, I don't know if he was studying the thesaurus before he came home or if this was just off the cuff, but this guy had more synonyms for the definition of stupid than you can believe. I mean, he was like, "You fucking idiot! You moron! You person with developmental disabilities." He used the R word, but since that's no longer proper to use, this was the 80s, it was allowed, I'm going to kind of lighten it up with the politically correct terminology now. It was unbelievable. I was like a Superman of stupidity. I'd run into the phone booth and come out stupid, run back in moron, run back in idiot. I mean, he was using conjunctions. He was like, you stupid fucking idiot. It was unbelievable. And I'm like trying to explain, Dad, you don't understand. I just go through the process. I don't know what happened. This is just something I do every morning. And he wasn't going to hear it. Now, if I had that book that I'm listening to today, I could have opened it up. There, it's not my fault. It's science. Believe the science. It's not my fault. But that wasn't the issue, right? But there's a postscript to this story. You see, about 15 years later, 17 years later, I'm an adult in my 30s. I come home to visit my parents for Thanksgiving. And we pull into the driveway after they pick me up from the airport. Or my dad picked me up from the airport. And I look over, and my mom's new car is all mangled. I'm like, Dad, what happened here? I mean, headlights bashed. I'm like, what happened? And he's like, you'll never guess what happened. I'm like, oh, no, tell me. I'm thinking she major wreck or something. And he's like, your mom goes to work before I do these days. You know, I left and I forgot that she had the day off and I backed into her car. I'm like, really? You backed into her car, huh? He's like, yeah, I can't believe I did that, you know, but it was just something I do all the time. It's just kind of habit. And I'm like, do you remember when that happened to me? He's like, that happened to you? I'm like, yeah, it happened to me when I was in high school. He's like, no, I don't remember it at all. You don't remember that at all? You don't remember calling me a fucking idiot, a moron, stupid? That doesn't sound like me. I would never call you that. You're my firstborn. Why would I call you anything like that? I'm like, this was so traumatizing to me. And I'm thinking this in my head. I'm like, you traumatized me with this whole calling me an idiot, things I had to work out on the psychiatrist's couch for years after that. And you don't even remember the situation. But I had empathy. I had sympathy for this guy, you know, because he's my dad and I went through the exact same thing. And here I was an adult and I was faced with not the same situation, but a similar situation. And I had a way to handle it and show him, you know, what a mature adult would say in a situation. And I just turned to him and I said, Dad, you're just a fucking idiot, aren't you?